Thank you.
But I did also want to piggyback on that too, because you mentioned the Hershey Kisses, that SGA members can go around. It's the easy thing of meeting people and it opens up that dialogue. So then that will actually be a great way to say like, hey, I'm student government. How can I help you? And I interned at a state senator's office last fall, and they literally do the same tactics as student government does. So this is just this is experience that you could get if you do want to go serve the public. When I was doing it last semester, we were doing with dandelion bulbs, and people would go online and wait for free dandelion bulbs. But then it helped open that conversation. How are you doing? Do you have any complaints in the community? How can we help you? And we logged everything. And then that was a way, an opening so that we could actually make improvements in the community. And student government does the same exact thing. So I hope that the skills that you get from this workshop, not just even if you don't go towards student government, which I hope you do, because it's great experience, but it'll open you up for building these soft skills for other organizations, for public service, not just public service, also uh, charities, nonprofit, and so on. But I see Emil just
You
came
just
in.
joined. You know, because we are also saving money for the retreat because we are doing the onboarding on campus. We probably can use that money when you all get elected and you're done training. We probably can use this money to do a trip to DC or Albany or something. And we can talk about that. There he is, the wonderful Emil Zunat. Listen, I had a long Monday, like all of us. And you are the only person I said I have to stay back and welcome Emil. Thank you so much for doing it. Let me tell you, each one of you, you are in for a treat. This guy is brilliant. He's going to be the president of some country or some kind of thing like
Yes,
that. I'm pretty
I'll
sure.
vote for Geo.
Yes. Dear, thank you so much for doing this. The students here, I can see that I know a few of these folks here. You have a really, really strong group. And so, I mean, it's only 3 sessions. Please have fun with this. And I know Emil is a great person to stay in contact with. So let me hand it over. And Emily, thank you for all the work you are doing with this.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's a pleasure to serve.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Suzette. Hi, everybody. It's such a pleasure to have all of you here. My name is Emile Giovanni Zuno. I was a Lehman student like you. I graduated in 2022. I think that's the only thing I have to say about my introduction. Okay, full disclosure, before leaving Lehman, I was student body president. So I finished my term as student body president. I work with Emily and Suzette for at least 2 years. First, when I joined SG as a officer, then as president. Um, Lehman has been a wonderful experience. I came in 2019, I finished in 2022, but since then, I've stayed in touch with the college. Sometimes when I come to New York, I always come to say hi to Suzette, and it's always a pleasure to see Suzette and work with her. Thank you for allowing me to do this work. I know it's 3 sessions, but it's a lot of work. We don't have much time. At the same time, I really encourage all of you to bring out your best during the session. It's a small group, so we can do a lot of great things together. And yeah, before we start, I really want to get to know the room. Um,
I have to say something because clearly you're too modest to say it. He just graduated from Harvard and he is going to use a lot of the organizing strategies that he learned in Harvard and teach you. He also got a bunch of prestigious scholarships and awards from every country, I don't know, in the world. And this guy is going to share, he really is going to drop some really smart, good nuggets, okay? Got you. You were never saying it. Okay, I'm going to leave because you know how I can't resist to jump in and talk. Okay. But have fun, you guys. Take care.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much, Suzette. All right. First of all, I really want to apologize. I lost my voice because I was a little bit sick throughout the weekend. So uh, I'm a little bit tone deaf, but I think we can make it happen. Um, yeah, I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the room. So I really want us to get to know each other. Today's agenda is quite packed. So we will try to go as fast as we can. Um, the
On that note, Gio, before we continue, I'm just gonna put in the chat for the Google Classroom and the WhatsApp group chat if you have not joined either of those, because you'll get a lot of support joining those. So keep an eye out for that. I'm doing that right now.
All right, great. Thank you, Annalise.
Mhm.
So I did my introduction. Suzanne added what she was supposed to add, and so I think we can start by popcorning. Just few housekeeping rule. It would be great if you have your cameras on. I understand some of you might be busy or doing something else, but really, if you cannot put your camera on throughout the whole class, at least when you are speaking, uh, except for Emily, because I know she's doing a lot of things in the back end for us to be on this
Thank you,
Zoom
Gio.
room. So unless if you are speaking, if you can put your camera on, that would be great. I don't really have any problem if your camera is off and on, but I did when you are speaking so your classmate can see who you are. So I think I'm gonna start by we can popcorn. So I think I will start with Emily Chico. I think that's how your name is pronounced. Share us a
Yeah,
camera.
it is. Do you want me to introduce myself?
Yeah, please.
My name is Emily Checo. I'm a sophomore and I'm majoring in biology. The reason I decided to take this class is just because I want to find out more about SGA and the responsibilities that come with it.
The responsibility that comes with it. Great, thank you. You can popcorn into somebody else, name, major, and the reason why you've decided to be in SGA. You take the class.
I can volunteer to speak if that's okay.
Sure.
Hi everyone, my name is Shantusha Narain. Sorry I'm not able to turn on my camera at the moment. I'm at the hospital, but hopefully furthermore I'll be able to turn on the camera so we all can get to know each other, especially since it's a small group. I did my Bachelor of Science with Lehman College in anthropology, biology, and chemistry. Graduated in 2016 and then started medical school. So I'm no longer attending Lehman, but I've been active with Lehman College throughout the years and have been able to see leadership in different forms. So I was informed about this in SGA in leadership, and I was interested because after taking leadership through so many different forms, I wanted to see how leadership is through SGA and see if there's anything that I can learn and add my feedback to, and just become a part of it and do my best in that sense. And yeah, that's about all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do you want to popcorn into somebody else or someone else wants to be a volunteer?
May I volunteer?
Oh,
Alex?
okay.
Hello, my name is Alexis Nunes, and actually, I am here because I was invited since I am the president of the Francophone Club. So they told me that this could help me to develop good skills or to remember good leadership skills, so I can place them in my club. And I found it like interesting, so I'm here. I'm currently my major is linguistics. So a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. Do you speak French? Vous parlez français?
Oui, je parlais français. Mais j'ai entendu le petit accent du moment que vous avez rentré.
It's a pleasure. I do speak French as well. I was just asking him if he speaks French, and he said yes, he does. Thank you, Alexis. Anybody else want to volunteer and go next? Naya, I think I saw your hands.
Yeah, I just unmute myself. Hello, everyone. I've been with Lehman since 2022. Currently, I'm a sociologist major, part of the adult degree program. And I should be finished by the summer, so I should be graduating by the summer. Just joined this. I came across. I don't know if it was there. It was in as introduced to. I'm sorry. I don't know if it was available before, but I came across it and I said, "Let me try. It seems interesting." I'm not really a politic person or anything about government, but leadership is something that I'm taking interest in because I see that it's a valuable skill that I would like to develop. I find myself like in small groups or between one and one, I can really talk to people. But when it comes to like a stage, forget it. I just get stage fright. So I think, I just wanted to give it a try and just gain as much knowledge as possible.
Great. Stage fright. Yeah, it's very common. And I have to tell that a lot of leaders throughout time, from Churchill to Obama, have had stage fright. So it's not really something.
Okay.
It's something that we can work on. Maybe not in those 3 sessions, but throughout time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can attest to that too. It's just to add.
Who wants to go next? Rafa.
Hello, my name is Rafael Camano. I'm a transfer student, lower senior, majoring in computer science, and I'm interested in the public service through SGA in this program.
Nice to meet you, Rafael.
Nice to meet you too.
Anybody else wants to go next?
I'll go next. All right. So my name is Jared. I just transferred to Lehman. I'm a upper sophomore. Well, I'm from Honduras. And I'm majoring on Latino and Caribbean studies and minoring in political science. I joined this workshop because I always been interested in public service and its idiosyncrasy. So, and I'm also part of the leadership program. So I felt like this was like the next step for the.
Great, thank you, Jared. Who wants to go next? I think we still have Brittany. Maybe you want to go next, Brittany?
Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties. Here we go. How y'all doing? My name is Brittany Lanzano. Yes, I am a leader currently on campus at Lehman. I've always been a leader my whole life. I've served in student government in Bronx Community College at a time. I was a senator. I was also a senator in Hostos. During COVID, it was a difficult time. We had to make a lot of decisions. And then I graduated from Hostos in music, digital music design, and sciences. And now I'm studying music here. I also started a club at Hostos and BCC, and I have one here as well. It's currently running at the same time at Hostos and Lehman. It's called Urban Unity. We create events all over campus. We try to collaborate. We bring people together. We love one another. We show friendship, and we just want to provide resources and ways to get to the resources on campus and any way to help the students. So why I'm here today? Because I was told being here would help me have a better understanding of being in student government. Although I was in student government before, Lehman is different. It's a different place. It's a different demographic. So, you know, I'm interested in learning ways, and I don't have a problem gathering students. I throw events. My last event had 160 students there. But I want to make sure that now, if I become president, because I'm running for president right now, tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, and I also want to run for next semester as well. I want to make sure when I gather these students and they show up and we have a broader way to get these students here, I want to give them resources and information they need. I don't want to just gather them to party and do events, because I got a 3.9 average and I lead groups all the time to complete tasks. So I just want to do it efficiently and, you know, just make sure they getting what they need, you know, under my care if I win.
Thank you, Brittany. And thank you for the PSA. I think we've all have heard it. Great. Who is next? I think O'Neill is in class. Christian.
Hello.
Hi, Christian.
How are you?
Well, good, and you?
Good.
So, can you introduce yourself and tell your classmate why you are here today? Oof.
I'm here for today because I want to meet at the meeting to see like, okay, what is it? What is this meeting about? And also, I'm trying to look at public service.
All right. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
I think we are going to start. I'm trying to.
Also, my major is arts and drawing. I'm a senior student.
How's enjoy? Thank you. All right. Thanks everybody for the introduction. I've heard one thing about almost everybody is that you've all have been asked to be here. And I hope that at the end of the class, one, you can stay, and second, you might find another reason of being among us. One thing that's really important for me throughout those 3 sessions is being able to give you the best that I have. So I really encourage you to bear with me first, and second, I will be giving out, actually I will be uploading materials on the Google Classroom throughout the throughout the 3 sessions that we have. I really would like to encourage you to all take the time to read the material if it's possible. One thing that is going to be challenging, I know, because you guys have classes and whatnot. But if you can, I really encourage you to read all the materials that I'll give you. I will make sure to not give you that much materials before class. And at least I will give you some buffer so you have some time to explore since we are meeting next Monday again. All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can briefly. I know you all have seen the syllabus. Like I've said in my announcement yesterday, the syllabus is a living syllabus. So I might update it throughout. I will probably update a few things throughout the course. I think that's the right one. I have 2 screens, that's why I'm looking at on the opposite side. I may have. Can you all see the syllabus? Yes. All right, great. So leadership for public service through student government, spring 2025. Yeah. So I don't know how many of you have already have seen the syllabus or read the syllabus right before the class. It's in the Google Classroom. So I hope you all have access to the Google Classroom. If not, Emily can help you out. Maybe drop your email in the chat. She will be able to help you out. I'll go through the syllabus very quickly. Week 1 is today. Even before that, a few commitments. It's and that we have to edit. There will be 3 weekly Zoom class, 60 minutes of Zoom class. and there will be a fourth class. The fourth class, as much as it is optional, I would really encourage you to actually come. The fourth class is supposed to be in person at Lehman. The in-person, it's going to be actually an in-person activity where you will do a small, I won't say a small presentation, where we'll do a presentation to different stakeholder at Lehman College. People who are actually involved in the organization. Student life, student affairs, people from OPA and career services. Emily and I, we are working behind the scene to make that even happen, because at the end of the course, I really want it to be practical for all of you. I don't want you all to sit here and just talk, but be able to have the option to know exactly what student government is. It's great to have a fancy title. It's great to be SGA president. It's great to be an SGA member. But outside of that, you will be called for the challenge. It's one of the hardest role. I think it's one of the hardest role in college, being a student body member. Unfortunately, a lot of students body members throughout the country. I've met a few at CUNY and outside of CUNY who have not been able to actually rise to the task. A lot of people want to be in SGA just for the title. I've seen it, whether it was in my previous team, in other core colleges, but being able to walk through student issues with student, for student, and with the administration is the hardest part of it. So the fourth class is not really a class, it's a live simulation where you will be presenting a project to people in a student life, discussing the project with student affairs, receiving a feedback about what you have done. I know I'm putting a little bit of challenge on you. I know some of you won't be able to make it. If you are not able to make it, please inform Emily. I, I will be putting you all in groups. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 people here. I'll be creating 2. Let me figure that part out. The initial plan was to do 2 groups. I'm not really sure if we might need 2 groups or maybe 1, where we will all be working together. The 2 separate groups will be working on 2 different campus issues and doing the presentation on that specific campus issue. So really, in the case we have 2 groups, if somebody in your team is not going to be in attendance for the final simulation, that's okay. But make sure your contribution is taken into consideration when you are, if you are not going to be there.
Gia,
Emily? Yeah.
can I just add some context also on the administrative side with this as well? So as Gia just mentioned, there's 4 workshops, and as everybody here, when you signed up, you signed up for 3 workshops. So if you complete the 3 workshops virtually, you'll still get the digital badge, you'll still graduate. However, if you complete the 4th one, you'll actually get an additional digital badge. So it's a special digital badge that we're creating that shows that you're doing a capstone project, which is one of the best things that you can actually have to actually demonstrate that you've worked on a specific project. And this is a really good opportunity also to network with, because we are, as Gio mentioned, we're working behind the scenes. So we're networking with a lot of administration for this particular workshop. So I highly recommend you take advantage for that 4th workshop. You could get an additional digital badge, network. You'll be able to talk about your experience at upcoming jobs and so on. So yeah, thank you, Gia.
All right, thank you, Emily. Yes. So yes. So student will participate in hands-on activities such as attending SGSLA meeting. That one in particular, I don't know if that's still possible, but one thing that I know for sure is you will be attending the college Senate meeting, which is the largest body. We'll talk about that later. I think the college Senate meeting, Emily, is on next Wednesday, right? 3:30.
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll give you more information about that at the end or even in the group chat. So next is what's it called? Engaging in advocacy exercise, including simulation, writing impactful letter and develop speech, critically examining campus issue, and proposing creative solution. That's really the big thing that we will be doing, being able to. I spoke with the current SGA people. They've given me a bunch of current problem that Lehman is facing. At the same time, I will also be asking you, what do you think are Lehman current problem? And together, mostly all of you in the Zoom, I will put you in a breakout room and you will think and discuss about those problems. Yeah, the program will culminate in the presentation of Lehman issue and potential solution to stakeholder and the formation of student government slates. At the end of the day, we are not a lot of students here, so you all can be in the same team and run together. I don't know. I may have to ask. That's a conversation that I will have with the current SGA president to see in them. The current SGA president or the current team to see if they have people who are currently running for next year. You might be able to join their slate, or you can form your own slate. The slate is like a big party that you can form to run for office. I am not, and me teaching this class, and the full disclaimer, I know I am on camera on recording. Me teaching this class does not mean that I am what's the words? I am endorsing any candidates. I am a completely neutral person in I am here as in my capacity as a former SG president, as a teacher, and I'm just giving you the tips and tricks that I've used throughout the time to succeed in my term. Regardless of what happened at the end of the elections, the goal is to prepare you to be advocates on campus for the students, nothing more, nothing less. So that was a full disclaimer, and I think it's very important for me to say that on camera because later that might be used for or against me. We're living in the US of A. Thank you. So these are the commitments, everything you have the document, you can go through it. So today, week one, the foundation of public service and advocacy. Today we will define leadership and understand its role in public service, mostly at Lehman. You will realize that there's a lot of things we are doing in SGA that is replicable throughout any political activities or even community engagement that you will have to you will be engaged in throughout your life. We will have a quick overview of SG and SLA, their role and significance in student government. I will briefly show you the SG and the SLA constitution and what is important there for you to actually read. And together we try to identify the problem at Lehman. And finally, you will have to attend the college senate meeting next Wednesday. Our objectives really, students will articulate key definition and model of leadership, understand SG, SLA role, interpret governing documents, identify campus issues, and engage in observational learning. I am putting those objectives out there. I know we won't be able to get to those points at the end of today's class because we technically have 20 minutes left. So I will ask for your grace for maybe another 20-25 minutes if you can. That would be very helpful. If not, that's still fine. The class is recorded. We have the recording. So let's jump right through it. My first question for all of you: how do you define leadership? If you have to define leadership in one word or one sentence, how do you define leadership? Anybody wants to take a stab at it? How do you define leadership?
In one word only?
You can give a sentence, and please, when you talk, can you also raise your hand or just say your name so I can see who's talking?
Okay, Alexis Nunes is
Mhm.
talking. So, my concept of leadership is the communal the communal responsibility that we have with others, can be in small groups, can be in or large communities, in society in general, in which we're going to be working with them and not make them work for us, because it's completely different to be a boss than a leader. So, leadership, you must also know how to work so you can manage everything. So, for me, is the responsibility with your community to guide others through the teamwork.
Good teamwork. Thank you, Alexis. Brittany, you raise your hands.
Yes, I was answering the question, what is leadership? To me, I feel like leadership is two things. Number one, taking initiative when it's needed, and also knowing how to let others do the job or the task given or delegate.
Thank you, Brittany. Anybody else? Naya, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I raised my hand through the camera.
Oh,
So leadership to me, also piggyback delegation, knowing how to delegate work, teamwork and problem solver,
mhm.
be able to have that critical thinking skill, problem solver. Yep, teamwork,
Yeah.
delegation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, you, Alexis, Brittany, and Naya, you have given me different definition of leadership. I will at the end of the class, I will not today, but at the end of the module, I will be compiling PowerPoint essential definition of leadership and whatnot. One thing that you may have realized, even if you Google what is leadership right now, you will see multiple definitions. The way I see leadership is the way Brittany, Alexis, and I have said it. It's your ability as a person to be able to think critically, resolve problems of your community, and uplift others. When the picture I think you can all see in Introduction to Public Service through Student Government. That's an old picture. We took it when in 2022, if memory serves me well, and that was part of my team. I really like to see this picture because it was us who were in charge of Lehman at that time. But most importantly, at that time, I wasn't even sure who would have been my successor, who would take over my role as the next SGA president. But I had confidence that somebody will rise to the task. We were going through a lot of different challenges. Our day-to-day was busy, but we had a specific plan to be able to solve Lehman problem. Eventually, John took over after I left. I think John is still at Lehman as a professor now. And he continued the mission. After John, there was Khadija, and in the future, we will see who is going to be the next president. So really, leadership has multiple definitions. There is not a straight definition of what leadership is. But most importantly, you as leader, you always have to remember that you don't necessarily need a title. And there's even a book. Oh, Rafa, you left something in the chat. Leadership is the action of leading a group of people or an organization and taking the strength to unleash our full potential to be something more, to make a difference. Yes, that's a beautiful definition. That's a beautiful definition. But like I've told you all your definition of leadership are really, really important. At Lehman, more specifically at campus life level, they have I said they have because we have multiple leadership model of leadership development, but based on the curriculum that I was given, Student life for years have been following a specific type of leadership, which is the social model change. And I'm going to share my screen and show you the PowerPoint of the social model. One second. Oops, there's nope, not that one. Sorry. My computer has been acting funky today.
Help with
well,
anything, Gio?
no, I think that's good for now.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So yeah. So in terms of social responsibility, more specifically at student life, whether you run for SGA, if you are an SGA, or even if you are a club, you will hear Suzette say that a lot. Moral leadership, moral leadership, moral. But what is really moral leadership? What is social responsibility leadership skills? So throughout time, they've created these PowerPoints, which encompass what we talk when we talk about leadership, more specifically at Lehman. What type of leader do they want? So they want leaders who are able to adapt to self-improvement consistently and set high standards to inspire others to do the same. Set example with word and actions. Continue the representation and make it better. Play a responsible role. Be responsible and cooperative. Encourage others to model the model. This is really important as human because we are all living in the United States of America, and we have seen that which type of people are our leaders right now on the hill. Whether on the hill or the White House, we have people in power who may or may have not been embodying those qualities. I don't want to criticize them right now. One thing you will learn when you become president is sometimes you can criticize another president, but at the same time, you would tend to give grace to somebody. But I don't really give grace to Mr. Trump right now. I have my things to say, but that's very personal. So leaders must be able to better explore and understand how they influence or inspire others. Self-awareness, creativity, emotional intelligence, caring and making connection, communicates, and intuition, well-being. One thing that is very important as a leader, you have to have the ability to communicate. And when I say communicate, it's really, really difficult to communicate these days. You may have not realized it, but even when you have your own family member, if I think the case of politics, here we can talk about politics, I'm really open, who is a Democrat and somebody else in the family is a Republican. Sometimes people don't like to hear each other anymore, especially these days. Polarized like this, now the country became so polarized that it's become like this. So it's difficult to reach across the aisle. But one thing people have to remember is that even when you argue based on your political affiliation, you have to remember that you have to argue about ideas, not about the people. Because the ideas is what is making this country evolve and grow. And at Lehman's, more specifically, your ability as a leader to communicate, being able to say, this is what's wrong, how can we solve it? How can we make things happen? I remember when I was president, I was having a conversation with with one of my senators who has been in SGA for a long time. We were battling with a specific problems, and she gave me an advice with hints. I mean, she has been in SG for at least 2, 3 years. That advice was a good advice. That was a sound advice. But when I evaluate that advice based on emotional intelligence and making connection at limit, that was a bad advice. And thank God I didn't listen to her. And I follow my intuition or my guts. So sometimes, even as a leader, some people who are well advised can give you advice. And unfortunately, that advice might not apply to you. I could give you specific advice that do not apply to you because of your own specifics and how you are saying the word. Remember, only take advice from people who I personally only take advice from people who are forward, who knows what they are doing. Sometimes I take advice from people who have not done what I want to do. But usually when I take the advice, I try to gauge it on my own scale of balance, on my own scale of checks and balance, and see if that advice sounds right. Sometimes some people just have good wisdom, and it's actually interesting to listen to them. But at the base, I know myself. I have a pretty good self-awareness of myself. But one thing that is important as well, I'm constantly evolving. And as leader, you have to realize that in your life, if you don't move, you have to be able to have this ability to evolve through time. So leadership development model, you have to be able to focus on the context in order to work effectively. As student body, as student government member, you will have a lot of challenges thrown at you left and right. The minute you step into that office, even things that you never thought were happening will slap your face. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So you really have to be able to focus something on context, what is in front of you. You will have to weigh in the individual attribute of your team member and the different competencies. If somebody is very good at communication and writing good speeches, that person can be your communication officer. But if your communication officer is not even able to write good speech, that's okay. Maybe it's your student service programmer who is able to do those beautiful things. I remember back when I was president, Emily was my chief of staff. I had a communication officer. So my communication officer did not have the communication skills that Emily had, the writing skill that Emily had. So I had to lean on Emily, and I had to use her competency to be able to draft speech on campus. So being able to lean on and know your the different attributes of your team is really important. Outside of that, you can see the general cognitive ability, the motivation, the personality. One thing that is really, really important this day, especially for me, whoever is in your team, whoever you are working with, there's one thing you always have to constantly look in those person. It's not their beautiful smile, not their beautiful heads, not how they are, not how they are performing in positive, but their ability to learn and grow. And sometimes, even the ability to learn and grow requires also being able to be at the spotlight, but also to step back. This is really important, and I will tell you why later. Ability to change and adapt, understanding all the perspective, power used to produce effective effect on work, commitments. So one thing is very important in terms of leadership development model outcome is focus on how effective and having the individual perform. External opinion are important. Set example, share information, improve your skill, and feedback. Feedback is really important. Everything that you are doing, it's really important to have somebody in your backyard being able to tell you, oh, what you did is great, but here's you can do to improve. You will always receive criticism when you are a leader, and even bad criticism sometimes is good. But when you get the criticism, evaluate the criticism. Is it good? Does that person know what that person is saying? Can I use the criticism to make myself better? If not, you toss it. If yes, you take the criticism and you improve on it. And yes, we have the 8 critical value of leadership: consciousness, congruence, commitment, collaboration. You will have all those the PowerPoint later. And at the end, you can see how they put it change. If there's one thing that is always a constant variable in leadership, it's change. Your ability to being somewhere and everything that you plan at the beginning is not working. Everything is thrown out of the table and you have to adapt and readapt. Those things happen. And as leader, you have to be able to, if there's one thing you have to be ready for, is change at any minute. And in order to be able to be ready for that change, you have to have a clear strategic plan. So even when your objectives or your short-term goals are thrown out of the table. You know it somewhere in your head and you're adapting yourself to that. So we'll share the PowerPoint with you later. But at the end of the day, why does leadership matter? At Lehman, it increases your academic development. Being a leader is not all just being in student government or doing activities for the students. Sometimes it's being in your classroom, having good grade, saying hi to a classmate, talking with that classmate that you have never talked to, asking how their day was, listening to them, spending a few times, buying food for somebody on the streets, helping a homeless, making someone else's life a little bit better. Because people will not remember what you have done to them, but they will mostly remember how you make them feel. And if you can make somebody day, I think they will be pretty much happy about it. That's just small uh, way of being a leader in your own community. You don't really need a big title, but just your ability to help your people. So moving on, I know we don't have much time. Our next plan, if I go back to the agenda, any questions so far before I continue? I know I've talked a lot. Any questions so far? Question once, question twice.
I just want to
I
add.
have a question. What about the slides? Can I screenshot them?
We will give you the slide later,
Yes.
don't worry.
We'll post it in the Google Classroom, but you can also screenshot if you want, but it'll be easier in the classroom. I did also want to mention to everybody, we're taking attendance via forms. So I'll be putting that in the chat. So make sure at the end of the class, when we're about to leave, make sure to click that. Your attendance is based on your reflection for what you've learned and things like that. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Emily. So we'll go briefly. We'll look at what SGA is at Lehman. There is a website. Emily, do you still have the link? If you can drop it in the chat, the link of the
Yeah.
SGA site. Yes, please.
Mhm.
So Emily will drop it in the chat, and I will share also my screen so we can all we'll talk about the Student Government Association, the Student Leaders Legislative Assembly, and the governing document. Yes, so that's really thanks for the link. So when you go on the website of Lehman, yeah, you can click on the link and go on the website so we can all follow together. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen quickly. All right. Let's do it. So, full disclosure, when I was president, sometimes as a leader, you might be working on some initiative that will happen years after you leave the university. When I was president, I was asking for a new website for the Student Government Association. So when Emily this week sent me that link, I was like, thank God. Because the website that we had a few years back was not the website that I wanted. So I'm so happy to see that the proposal that I've created years ago is being implemented now.
And I
So
just want to add, I know we're short on time, but I want to add that that's what usually happens in public service is you work towards something and you're just like, oh, we didn't complete this, but then it gets set in motion. So even after you leave, it does take fruition, and that happens a lot. So being with SGA for 5 years, I'm seeing that actually happen with most of our initiatives. So you can make a difference.
yes, you can definitely make a difference, even if it comes later. Unfortunately, red taping is big in administration, although they are working toward it. You will have quick wins, but sometimes there are other wins that might not work. And those wins will happen after your time. So yes, on the website, student government exists to provide governance and advocacy on behalf of the student body. Governing involves making decisions and recommending policies that affect the student body, as well as working with faculty administrators and various committees to ensure responsible decision-making on behalf of the student body. All students are elected for a one-year term, during the spring semester, intention forms are available at the Office of Campus Life. And based on what I've heard, the intention form are happening right now. So the SG has two big body, the executive board, where there is president and all the president, 3 VPs and officers. So there are 13 officers. Take time to read through the constitution and the bylaws. You will see them. If I'm not mistaken, right now, Khadija Shiwi was the former SG president. I think they are currently election to replace her. And Chanelia was also one of my team member. She was, if I'm not mistaken, she was my student service programmer when I was president. And she stayed at Lehman for a year after because she still have, yeah, she was still in John's team after I left. And that was during a leadership retreat, if I'm not mistaken. I don't exactly remember. So all the information about SG are here. In terms of every organization has governing documents, and as leaders, it's really important to be able to know those documents to work. When I became president, they gave me all the documents. It's a lot of documents, and I had to be able to read them all. However, I had competing times, I had priorities, I had classes and whatnot. But at the same time, something was really important for me was to know what do I have to know in order to operate. Every time you take a governing document, and I'm sure the governing document of this land is the United States Constitution. Unless you are working to become a Supreme Court justice or somebody in the Hill, I don't think any of you know really the Constitution, except of course the different amendment that you know, the right to bear arm and all the amendment that are really important. So really, when you take a governing document, it's really important for you to scan, if you don't have the time to read it all. As a leader, it's really, especially as president, I took my time, I read them all. It didn't happen the first day in office, no. However, the first day when I was elected on June 1st, I did my transition with my predecessor. I went through through specific article that I needed to be able to operate at the beginning. One thing is really important when you look at the Constitution, the Article 1, it's always important. That's the main article. You need to know that. The name of the organization, Student Government Association, period. Because you have to know the name of what you are working for. Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3 and 4 are important. Because, and you can see it's the name, the purpose, the power, and the prescribed powers. Because you have to realize that there are, what can you do and what can you not do, order to avoid getting impeached. So those are actually important chapters to be able to know. The four first are what if you don't have time. First for article. Article 5 is also great. It gives you a little bit about the membership, the executive board and the SLA, the governance and whatnot. So as you can see, it's a lot of article. You cannot have everything in your head based on the role that you actually want. You can either go through that. The Constitution is very easy. It's just 6 pages. You can read it very quick. So it helps you to get to know more about the Student Government Association. So please, the first article are really important. As I've told you, we have the e-board and the SLA. The SLA is the Senate. Think about it as the US cabinet. The e-board is the US cabinet where you have the president and his different secretaries. So the e-board is governed by bylaws, and the bylaws have been ratified. The recent bylaw have been ratified in August 24th, 2022. So as you can see, the team did a pretty good job, right? I started working on the bylaw. I finished it, but the next team was supposed to be the team that will ratify that how the constitution it is. So although I did all the work with my team, I left on on May 31st, and on the first meeting, the first meeting after I left, the first official SGA meeting after I left, they ratified the e-boards. That's why it was ratified August 24, 2022. In terms of, it's important to know the first chapters as well. Now, depending on your role, it's really important to be able to go through your role and know what you have to do. The cabinet structure is there, the purpose, the powers. The president, if you are running for president, it's really important to know what does the president exactly do. If you are running for VP, just go to the role of the VP. We have three VPs: the VP of Internal Affairs, External Affairs, and the VP of Legislative Affairs, who is also the chair of the Student Legislative Assembly. So the SGA bylaw gives you an overview of the different roles that are there, and you know, the power and the power and the duty, the meeting, the different committees that are in SGA and whatnot. Again, if you don't have time, you have to focus on specific things: your role and the internal organization, more specifically the meetings. How the meetings is I'm looking at the chat. Okay, Emily, you have class. Thank you for coming. So yeah, very important, your role and how the meeting are run in SGA. This is those are actually chapters that you need to be able to know about the Student Government Association e-board. That is when you don't have time. When you have time, please open the bylaw and read it. It's important to know the law. When I go on the SLA side, the Student Legislative Assembly as well, you have to know the role. If you are the chair of the SLA is the vice president of academic affairs, or the SLA chair, like we used to call them. And then the SLA chair has a legislative council. Think about it as the United States Senate. The vice president of the United States is the chair or the president of the United States Senate. So it's the same thing in SLA. The VP of SLA is part of the e-boards. You need to know the role. Now within the SLA, there's a small board, which I call the Legislative Steering Council. You have the chair, the vice chair, and the legislative coordinator. And then we have the senator at large. In the United States Senate, we call them the ranking members or whatever you want. So you have the senator at large, the senior senator at large, the junior senators at large, the secretary of the SLA. It's really constitutional. That's one of the things that I love about the bylaw. It gives you really deep knowledge about, there's a senator at large. In order to be a senator at large, you have to serve for SGA before. Then there's a junior senator, there's a senior senator, there's a different senator. So it's actually interesting to see that from the ground, you're actually learning to the ropes of of how to actually be a Senate member from Lehman. So we can avoid to see certain messes that we are currently seeing on Capitol Hill. And the SLA has multiple committee. One thing that is important, and I want to take time here, is you all are going to be attending the Lehman College Senate. And the Lehman College Senate has multiple committee. The Committee on Governance, the Committee on Admission, Evaluation, and Academic Standard, the Undergraduate Curriculum Committee, the Committee on Graduate Study, the Library Technology and Telecommunication Committees, Budget and Long-Range Planning Committees, Committee on Campus Learning Facilities, and Committee on Academic Freedom. All those committees are committees that are supporting the functioning of the university. You will be sitting in those committees with your own professors, with members of the presidential cabinet. This is that's where the student senator, they have a lot of power because you have the ability to shape the policy at Lehman. Even you even go against your own professor's idea. I have seen I have seen team members being on committee with their own professors. And even if the professor gave them a B minus or a C in class, it's not the reason why they won't be happy. They will be, oh, because I am in the same committee as my professor and I want a good grade, I have to make sure that whatever he or she says, I have to be in alignment with him or her. No. As a student senator, you represent the interest of your student. So even if in committees, your own instructor and you are sitting on opposite sides, you always have to represent the interest of the student. They can never get back at you because they are doing their job and you are doing your job. When you finish, you can go back to class and discuss our academic thing. And again, that's why there is also the Committee on Academic Freedom, because you are technically free from repercussion every time you are actually acting as a student senator. So it's really important for you all to know the bylaw in order to protect yourself. I know I'm speeding through it. Any questions so far? The bylaws are public. They're available on the websites. I ask you to take a look at them because without those documents, you cannot say anything. It's easy when you go to mailing for somebody to say, oh, in the bylaw, there's XYZ. Oh, in the bylaw, there's X. No. Some people lie. I'm going to tell you to be honest with you. Especially in certain meetings when the stakes are high, people will be lying through their teeth. Say, oh, you know the bylaw say. If you don't know anything in the bylaw, you'll be like, oh, maybe they are right. And some people are really convincing. I've been in meetings where somebody throws something at me from the CUNY bylaw on student activities, and all my team members were in a high-stake meeting with the administration and other people from CUNY. So all my team members were like, oh shit, it's coming from the CUNY bylaw. I send a text in the group chat and I just say lies and fallacy, don't believe them, period. Because I read the CUNY bylaw that day before the meeting, so I know exactly what was in it. So it's important to know the law. So with that, it's the most boring part of being SGA. And I know I didn't like it at the beginning. But honestly, when I knew how the bylaw were, nobody could stop me again. Any questions so far before I continue? No,
Just
no.
want to
Again,
add,
I mean,
if you go through it on your own and you have questions along the way, that's one of the beauties of having the WhatsApp group chat. You can totally just put in and be like, hey, I'm going over this. What does this mean? Or can you give me example and things like that? So how is everybody doing on time? Because I know we're 10 minutes over. Is everybody good?
Yeah.
I do want to mention, because we are over time, if you need to go, please do. This is being recorded and it will be posted on Google Classroom, so don't feel pressured. We'd appreciate you staying because you get firsthand, feedback and if you have questions along the way, but we understand if you need to go because this is the time that you signed up for. So
yeah.
thank
Thanks.
you. Mm-hmm.
All right. So yes. The next point is technically the identify campus issues, but because of the time, we won't talk about it here together. I will ask all of you, and I believe you all are in the group chat. After this class, or later in the evening after you have eaten, take your phone, think about all the issues that you think that Lehman is having right now, and dump it in the group chat. I will be looking in the group chats and get those information. Next class or before next class, at least I will do my best by at least Saturday, I will be able to send you a case study. We will all read the case study together in class because we have more time next Monday. The first 30 minutes will take you to read the case study. There'll be a case study about Lehman, more specifically based on the problem that you have, the issue that you highlighted, I will create a case study, and you will be reading that case study next time in class. And together we will, I mean, all of you will be working on finding the solution and proposing resolutions. Those resolutions, if you decide to run for SGA, if you are in a team, if you become SGA member, you will be in charge of implementing the solution that you may have work on. But before going to the implementation phase, you will have the time to discuss those solutions with different stakeholders at Lehman. So moving on, the last part is the preparation for the college senate meeting. Emily, I will give it over to Emily, but before Emily go over the preparation for the college senate meeting, Emily has been in SG for 5 years, from being an officer all the way to chief of staff and secretary or whatever the title they give her now. She has also worked with with a senator in New York City. She will, Emily, please, maybe in like 1 minute, if you can explain the connection between what you have learned in STA and how you're applying it in New York State at large. That's one. And then the second part, if you can explain them how the college senate meeting work right now at Lehman, so they can know what to be prepared of. And something that is really important, Emily, so I don't forget, that would be ideal if you can connect them to the current VP of SLA, so she knows that some of them will be coming to the meeting on Wednesday. Emily, over to
Yes. So, hi everyone. Yeah, so I currently work still as the office manager with student government. When I first joined, I was student services officer. And so if you have any questions in general, I am always happy to help assist you. And if you are interested, I will actually put in the chat, the WhatsApp chat, when the next Senate meeting is, and I'll put a poll just so that we know who is interested in coming. And then I will extend that to the current SLA chair so that she's just can expect you and she can actually help, meet with you, meet and greet, and assist at the door, because it might be a little overwhelming when you first go there. It is currently in the Carmen B04. And it's one of the big auditoriums. And so when you sit in this auditorium, once you join SGA, if you're a senator, people that have voting powers, they sit in the front 2 rows in the center. And that's how everybody knows you're there, you're a part of student government, you have voting powers, voting privileges. And everywhere else you could sit on the sides, in the back. You are a student, you are free to actually just, it's open to the public. You're allowed to actually hear what is happening, involved in your education. And so that's the first part. I'm going to take a step back to what Gio also mentioned with my experience with the senator's office. So I mentioned in the beginning of this session a little bit of, giving out tulip bulbs and things like that. And just to expand on that, and just in my journey in general, I hated politics all my life. I was just like, oh, it causes conflict. I don't like causing any ripples. I don't like, getting anybody upset. I just want to help volunteering. And I actually joined SGA because there were a bunch of leadership students that were like, hey, we're interested in joining. We can actually help people. Do you want to join? And I signed up not knowing what it really was. And I love it. I ended up absolutely loving it because it's that extra step further. Instead of just volunteering at individual events, you actually can be a part of making effective change. Being a part of those policies that get put into place as that foundation of change. So some things that I know, when I started working in the senator's office, I worked for State Senator John Liu in Queens. Amazing experience. I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity to volunteer, to intern in your local representative's office, I recommend you take them up on that offer. And your experience through SGA will make it that much easier, just because it was very similar in the tasks that you do in SGA. So some of the things that I liked in SGA, just to point out a few, is constituent services. So basically you are open to the public, and people will come to you and say, hey, I am having an issue with Con Edison is basically having water leak into my house, and because it's owned by them, I can't do anything about it, but it's causing structural damage. The public can actually contact their local representative with these issues, and your representative actually contacts different departments and says, hey, you have an obligation, or else we'll see you in court. And they represent you for free to get these things mediated. If you have issues with resources, I had somebody who just started dialysis, and she was completely overwhelmed. She didn't know, what to do, who to turn to, what the process was. And we created a packet for her of resources. And in student government, you're doing similar things. That was one of my roles as student services officer, is connecting people to the different services and acting as that person to guide them. So that was one aspect of it. The other aspect is creating events in your community to give quality, to also, in part, connect them to events, but also to find out, to be able to have that conversation with them. And then also, once you start talking with people, when you start talking with the public and you find out their concerns, they have to log everything. If you call or you write to them and say, hey, I don't agree with, this was one we were getting, I don't agree with our current mayor, I want an open investigation of them, they will log it. And if they get enough people that calls, then they will actually open a case against that person. And that is part of the thing that they do. And a lot of people don't realize that those are things that they can do. So just word of advice, because we have a political climate, I really wanted to say that. And one of the things I was advised as an intern there, it was to say, like, the more people you get, the better. So tell your family, tell your friends, call not just your representatives, but other people, because they have to legally log it. And if they get those numbers and signatures, it puts pressure on them. And the number one thing, they serve us. Similar to SGA, we use student activity fees to pay for events on campus, the services that we provide. Similar in local government and federal government, our taxes goes and pays for these services. And so that actually, if they're not doing their job, guess what? We can fire them by not voting for them, and we can let them know that. So we have to hold them accountable. I got interested also in the internship because public policy change. You hear people's issues. You get to actually see studies that were done by the government and other organizations. I was attending workshops and then actually implementing it. Working in student government, you'll be collecting data. We have a research officer who does that to find out from students, so we have a backed claim. But in government, public government, they have these things where they can actually create these policies, and that's what they actually vote on and things like that. So that's it in a nutshell. Is there anything else?
Thank you very much, Emily. I really appreciate it. I know we are well over time, but we'll have more time to discuss about all the issues next time. Any question before we close today call? Britton, go ahead.
Yes, I work closely with Senator Gustavo and
He's
Bronx.
awesome. Sorry.
He's I love him. I actually just did a community event. So I got I'm sorry, an S corporation. And what we do is we make events on the outside of school. We make events, and I had this one girl that jumped on board. She's also a student. She was at Hostos, and she was like, "Yo, we need to do a community event because we just do events, for music." So she was into that. So I said, "Okay." So we did that, and in 3 weeks, we reached out to Senator Gustavo. We reached out to the borough president, the Bronx borough president. We reached out to Daniel's Leather. They also gave 100 coats away. We went to a school, PS 246, the Post Center, right there by Lehman. They said yes. We went in 3 weeks from thought to completion and execution. We did that community event, giving away school supplies to 100 coats, and we fed them for $300 and out of pocket. So the way I knew get Senator Gustavo, and this was just October 12th that just passed. The way I knew Senator Gustavo was because I met him at Model Senate last year. I was at Model Senate. I was chosen at Hostos. And that really gave me some light. And we had I was a Republican at the Model Senate, and I had constituents, and I had to, it was different that to think, okay, now I'm a Republican, right? Because I never was a Democrat or Republican, but at that moment I was a Republican, and I had to think for those people that I was in charge of. And it wasn't about what I felt, it was about what the constituents needed and what kind of people was in the majority, and how can we serve that community with making the decision that we was trying to make. So I really enjoyed that, and I didn't think I was a politician or nothing, because I'm a musician and I perform and things like that. But once I got there, I saw that I could definitely convert my skills into, to be utilized in a way to help the community.
Thank you very much for sharing. And I really love the end. I was not a politician, but I saw how I can use my skill to help the community. This is really sometimes, this is what leadership is about. You will be called to the task, and being able to answer and support your community is really, really important. One thing that just to close, one thing that I also want to remind all of you is that as a leader, there's a quality that sometimes some of my peers who have been leader at Lehman, outside of Lehman or other university, I have been graced to leave Lehman for Harvard, meet leaders from all over the countries, people who were a student body president in the university, and they manage $1 million budgets. We don't even have half of that at Lehman. And speaking with them, you realize how much difference there is, and at the same time, how much similarity we have across the country. And sometimes you can see that the best leaders are the one who initially they were not even thinking about being politicians, but they saw a problem and they decided to solve the problem. But more specifically, when they finished doing the work, they knew it was time to leave. And this is something that I'm saying it out loud because I'm seeing a few things at CUNY that I'm not really liking. I'm seeing a few things across the country where leaders, when it's time for them to go, they don't really want to go. And we've had that in the US. But right now, I think it's becoming more and more prevalent in local governments across the country, in some local government across the country, in some universities as well. Remember,
Sir,
when you finish,
I got a question about what you just said, sir. What it is to me, from my point of view, it's like it's no presence of leadership. Like everybody says, I'm a leader, I'm a leader, I'm a leader. But where? What are you doing? You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? And I know I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to learn. Like I'm here in other ways, and be at meetings and hear, where and what, the things I don't know, so that I can implement change. Because I'm not afraid to step forward and make change. And I don't stand for the wrong thing. If I know that it's wrong, I don't want to be behind it. And that's why when people had asked me to be a part of their things, I didn't want to do it because they won't tell me what the true intentions are. And my true intentions are to serve the students to the best of my capability and find out what we need in general as a majority, to please our campus and our students and help everybody get to graduation. It's no presence. And that's the problem. I'm telling you right now, sir, if you really look into it and you walk around this campus, go and walk around Lehman campus during the day from 10 to 2, Monday through Thursday, any of those days. You will not see no SGA shirt standing there. You won't see anybody that's claiming to be the student leader doing any leadership things. And I'm not here to complain. I'm here to solve the problem. And I don't want to just walk around saying, there's no leaders, there's no leaders. I want to have the solution. Hey, there's no leaders. Here I am. Now let's do this.
Unfortunately, I cannot because I currently live in Boston. So I will not be at Lehman and I have a full-time job. So unfortunately, I will not be at Lehman from 10 to 2 p.m. But I hear you, and I will make sure Emily will make sure to transfer the information to the current people in power.
I
Lastly,
love Emily. Emily is always everywhere. So thank you, Emily, for popping out here too. You busy.
yeah, definitely. And one thing that the end of your sentence was great, and I was actually coming to that. At the end of the day, you have to remember that you are also students, and you have to make it to graduation. You have to be able to help your peer make it to graduation, and you have to make it to graduation as well. So remember, leadership is a journey. That's always how I tend to see it. Your journey of leadership, you have to go through Lehman. My journey of leadership went through Lehman. I finished as student body president. I went to Harvard as a student. I was in the student council at Harvard. It was a different experience. And now I'm working full time at IBM, which is a big company, like you all know. But even my role in IBM it's in the biggest architecture of IBM. I'm somewhere. I'm not a leader in IBM, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to do to drive the initiative across the country and support people who needs my skill sets. So remember, leadership is always a journey. You don't always have to be at the top to be a leader. But one thing that is really important is you are contributing meaningfully to the society. That's it for now. Thank you very much, folks, for giving me 1 hour and 30 minutes. Rafa, thank you for your LinkedIn. Everybody be well. My
Wait,
LinkedIn.
sir, I want to ask you one more question. Can I do that?
Yeah, go
My
ahead.
last question is, if it's 13 executive officers and it's 30 something senators, how come there's no presence?
There's no what?
No presence, no SGA presence on campus. I've been there since the fall.
I think that's a question I really cannot answer because I'm not there right now. I think this is a question we will have to ask the people in power. In my time, there was presence. I hear you, and I understand your grievance.
Not really a grievance, but I want to know what I want to help fix it.
Except,
I'm
and I
not a
think
complainer. I'm asking it because I'm hoping that this class right here that I'm taking my hour and change out to, I'm taking it out with my children. I could be with my children, but I'm taking it out here because I want to learn something I don't know. And it could be through whatever you present. It could be through other people's speaking. I understand that, but I'm just letting you know I'm gonna ask those questions, and I hope that you're ready for me to ask those questions, sir.
Don't worry.
I need to know.
Yeah,
Please tell
yeah.
me.
I will give you all the answer I can to the best of my ability. I've been grilled multiple times by students, so you don't really have to worry about that. Next time we will when we are going through the case study, I will give you specific example of things that have happened in the past and how we try to mitigate those solutions. And hopefully those solutions could be really
Because
helpful.
you where I want to be. You already served as the president of the college, and I want to do that. So I want you to tell me how I could do that successfully if I make it through the votes.
No problem. All right. Folks, take care of yourself. Thank you very much for your time. Be well, and I see you next Monday. And in the group chat as well, please dump the issues that you currently see. Brittany, I can sense that one of your first issues is where are the representatives? So clearly, put that in the group chat and we will have a conversation about it next Monday. Thanks,
Yes,
everybody.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.